Hi, so today is the 6th of October and I just got done filming a couple of videos. It's horribly hot today and yeah, that's about it. Before we get on with reacting to this, yeah, I am using my book cover from Reading Owl Creations so that you don't see the cover. I don't want to let you know the name of the book because I don't want to do that. I never do that in this kind of videos. Okay. So, where did we leave? We left it off at 45. So let's just start with the next issues that I have with this book. Okay, so on the next page, there's nothing that sort of triggered this reaction in me, but it's a trend in this book because women are shown to be really subservient people who only care about the man's welfare. They are present to serve the man and all that. So when it's about the women, it is everything external. So the women don't have any particular qualities as such. They are there only to talk for the men, to do things for men. So when this says, the powerful chief minister bowed his head to D in reverence when ushered in. This powerful word, it's used only for men. Women have qualities that cater to men in this, and men have all these macho, masculine ideas that patriarchy has instilled in our brain, like men are supposed to be like this and women are supposed to be like this. It's there, and this sort of grated on my nerves in so many ways, because when it comes to women, all this author has to say is she was cute, she was sexy, she looked beautiful, she looked pretty, she turned on the charm, and that's all. That's all women are to this author. I start off this paragraph, but the starting of the paragraph is not the problem. You'll see where the problem lies. Please ignore all the noises in the background. Sedona was living up to its reputation of being an energy vortex, where the earth's energy resonated with the energy centers inside the body. Okay. The rich and famous had built expensive houses in Sedona to experience this energy and feeling on a continuous basis. Okay, V had enough energy within himself and only needed the weekend at Sedona to provide him with the additional energy. This is also nothing. The next paragraph. Wait, we are getting there. You will see how stupid it is. I put it up on my Instagram stories and people went mad laughing at it. Even I did laugh, but there's a limit. Come on, this is enough, right? I think so. Oh God. Sedona was a very safe space. Okay, maybe the fear of the earth's energy dissuaded criminals. Or maybe they were enlightened themselves in Sedona and realized the futility of their actions. Criminals are criminals. How will the earth make sure that they are enlightened? Anyway, this next paragraph that I'm going to read is entertainment package of the year, that is. M, my love, will you be my energy vortex for the rest of my life? M did not answer or ask V to stand up. She just knelt down herself, took the ring from his hand and delicately placed it between her lips and V's as she bent forward to seal the engagement with a kiss and the ring together. The kiss, the moonlight, the energy of Sedona, the future long months of separation, and most importantly, the seal of legitimacy together culminated in a beautiful moment of passion. So basically, you are saying that a relationship isn't legitimate until it turns into marriage. What? There are so many things wrong with this paragraph, and this is the first thing. I mean, on reading this the second time, I realized that the second part of this paragraph is worse than the first part. Because when I posted this to my IG stories, people replied and someone also said ki that's not possible. Because imagine one of them swallows the ring and they are gone. They are like gone. And what is that legitimacy statement, dude? Which century are you living in? What is wrong with you? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised given what all has happened in this book so far, but I still am. It's the worst, the absolute worst. I need coffee. Next. He has just graduated from university. Okay, he completed a year-long degree in finance from his alma mater. He then applied to a few multinational companies in the country, and given his strong background in the political scenario at the university, he was preferred by a lot of companies in the infrastructure space. So basically politics and multinational companies go hand in hand. Fine. But saying that that particular thing takes more precedence over talent. And next, he decided to take the offer from a leading American engineering design company which had just set up operations in India. His profile was business development manager and the office was in Delhi. The salary offer was quite attractive too. Which graduate gets this stuff, man? And you're telling graduate with political scenario, political what is that called? Affiliation? Graduate with a political affiliation. And which graduate gets direct position of business development manager? Which world are you living in? You are living in a personal utopia as well as external dystopia. Personal utopia because you think that the characters, the men in this book are entitled to everything. Dystopia because you see women as nothing. Look at how he's describing a woman. P extended her hands for the first time and J obliged willingly. Her hands were soft and smooth, but she had a very firm handshake. So surprising, no? She held his hands for over a minute and then looked at him one last time before turning around and walking out. See, men when he's describing, they are like, they have firm handshake, they are dude bros, they are masculine, they are powerful, they are strong. But women, oh, so sweet, so cute hands, so soft hands. How you have firm handshake while you have soft hands? Like, and you looking at me coquettishly, not fair. Okay, this is also similar to the last thing. He applied for a job as a branch manager in a large security company in Mumbai. Okay. He was interviewed by a panel of the top management of a company because the top management of a company was like, oh, this fellow is coming, we need to personally interview him. He is VIP. This interview is just like that. It's going to go fantastic, which is how it actually went because the interview went fantastic and he was the unanimous choice of the panel because दुनिया में लोगों को धोखा कभी हो जाता है. You know, that's how stories goes. Everything is convenient because he's a man. And everything works out well for a man. Okay, next. Last paragraph of this chapter. From the 5th floor of the opposite tower, G would often hear romantic songs late at night followed by an impromptu karaoke that a young girl would be singing. If the karaoke followed the romantic songs, then how is it impromptu? Impromptu का meaning पता है आपको? You know the meaning of impromptu? No? Then Google. Very easy, simple. When you're typing, no, you can do that. Next, like I'll do this one chapter and stop for today, but I'll film it later on. I think this is going to go into a series. I don't know, maybe one a month or something. This is the worst description of a girl that you could ever have done. Look at how he's describing this girl. A typical next door girl with average build and average looks. She had an above average cheerful disposition. Tell me what you want to say. What is your affinity towards the word average? And why do you want to describe people like that? Typical next door girl. He will never describe any boy like this. Any boy, any man, he will never describe like this. But for a girl, typical next door girl with average build. Not even build. And average looks. She had an above average cheerful disposition. Cheerful disposition is above average. Remember that. That is very important. Without that, like, you can't know how this woman is. The bus will leave. R's mother would shout at her lovingly. How does one shout lovingly? You tell me. Tell me, please. I want to know. I want demo. Like, my brain is short circuiting at the very thought. Like, aisa hai, then no. No. Can we bring it to the middle, like mix these two? But no. Those are not water and milk, no. Next, another stereotype, gender stereotype. At least in India, that is. She would sit next to the driver's seat and keep chattering about the latest episodes of the trendiest shows on TV, Bollywood gossip, and her own views and commentary on them and life in general. Because that's what women do, no? We just watch TV, we watch soap operas, we have our eyes on the neighbors, we want colony gossip, we want Bollywood gossip, and that's what we do when we meet in kitty parties. This is like long ass, okay? This is like 1.5 pages long or something. So get some popcorn if you haven't already. So she's saying to her professor, "Sir, I have noticed that pain in one part of the body gets reduced when you have pain in another part of the body. So if you have a pain stored in your body all the time, then you can bring it up every time you have some actual physical pain. That's not how pain works. Baba, Amma, Talli. No." Brilliant, right? Fir upar se self. R genuinely believed in the idea. "And where will you store this pain?" "Sir, I don't know about others, but I store my pain in my heart." No, no. Yuck. My pain of not finding true love, because that's what women exist for. We live for a man, we want true love. There are so many problems with that one statement. Like this guy assuming that we live for a man. I think about that pain every time I have some other pain in the body. Acha. Like this. Okay. R looked a bit embarrassed as she expanded her theory. Embarrassed. You didn't think twice before talking about this, and who thinks like this, man? It hurts me. The whole class burst into laughter, much to the consternation of the professor. Why is the professor's consternation here? What you want to say? Okay, everyone in college knew that R was a true romantic. She would walk through the gates of the college and imagine a fresh movie scene in her mind every day. This is nothing. See, wait for what's coming. If no movie scene existed, she would invent it. Okay. Just last week, she had admonished a class friend who was riding a motorcycle inside the college. The thing that is coming, hold on to your seats tight, because it will shock you. "Why could you not stand up on the motorcycle when crossing me?" The friend looked bemused, but soon realized that he had distorted R's running image in her mind, who is quite the filmy type, and was hoping her friend would perform the stunt. Hey, Ajay Devgan ki bachchi, why do you want people to do this stuff for you? You go do stunts on motorcycles, no? Why do you expect others to do it for you? He is not even your boyfriend, he is your friend. Even if he was your boyfriend, don't expect him to do such life-threatening stunts. What is this? So it was no surprise to all her friends when she came one day and described what had happened to her that morning. "Go, Dada. I was standing near the bus stand. You know, I was early today. And then 3 goons came near the bus stand and started to sing lewd songs. I told them it's early in the morning and they should sing devotional songs. And they said, they're even worse. And they said they can devote their whole lives to me." Unbelievable. R narrated her story to a group of friends surrounding her. "Then what happened, R?" a friend inquired. "Then the unthinkable happened. One of them came and caught my arm and said something so vulgar that I can't even repeat it." But you know what? This makes me so angry. Because I can't even say you shouldn't have said that to them. Because apparently she met some hero when on this previous adventure. A tall, handsome man with a slight stubble and wearing a Pathan suit came from nowhere. He's Genie from Aladdin. And caught all 3 of them with his 2 bare hands. He dragged them to the streets and kicked them at all the wrong places. I mean the right places that they deserved. Upar se correction also she's doing. Okay. They begged for forgiveness and the man made them all come and kiss my sandals. R was jumping with exhilaration. Okay. "What was the name of this man?" one of the girls looking shy asked. Why is that other girl looking shy, Ray? Why are all the girls looking shy? So to that stupid question, R says, that is the only regret. He left while I was trying to brush my sandal after being touched by those dirty lips. R looked a bit lost. Why will she look lost? And then someone from the group says, that was your Krishna who came from the heavens, protected your chastity, and then left again for the heavenly abodes. When you have to make such connections, such analogies, you have to understand that the whole book, the bigger picture also you have to see. If it doesn't fit, just chuck it aside. Don't put it in like this nonsense. I mean, nothing fits into this book except for the fact that each of them is sexist, racist and casteist. That's all. And then after this, suddenly, R loved the curd rice with grated carrots and cucumber that her mother prepared. No transition, nothing. Everything sudden, just falling down. Like, you know, when you're falling down and you crash through several floors and then you end up on the ground floor, it's like that. Oh, I imagine a lot. Sometimes I'm riding a horse in the deserts of Africa with him. And sometimes I'm standing in an open jeep he is driving. Sometimes I am a gypsy woman who is trying to impress him, dressed in a cowboy's attire, and sometimes I am the woman in distress that he comes to rescue. R blushed a little. Very impressive. So if Rajnikant and Feroz Khan had a fight, who do you think would win? G could not believe that he asked this. Rajnikant is a superhero. Feroz Khan is my hero. My hero never loses. R was very clear in her thinking. Like, you're making this girl into a character who just lives for a man's attention. Everything she's doing is for a man. Like, she's a damsel in distress, he's coming and saving her. He's driving very in a, you know, masculine macho manner, when she is like all doing oh pretty and all that. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but when you put it in the context, in the bigger picture, it's like, what is wrong with you? Sometimes she's a gypsy woman. Gypsies, they are not leaving anyone, this fellow. Next, R's bus arrived and she said goodbye to G. G waited till the bus turned the corner. G needed someone like R in his life. His life would be too boring if there was no one like R to lighten and brighten it up. After a couple of months of regular meetings with R, G knew it was time to meet R's parents soon now. I don't even know what that last paragraph was, the one that I just narrated. R's parents were delighted by G's offer to marry their daughter. They would have preferred someone from their own caste, but a good bird in the hand was always better than two of the same caste later. They readily gave their consent on the condition that R had to agree to. This is so progressive, these two people, R's parents are, no? Like, G's offer to marry their daughter. Like, I'm giving up so much, I'm sacrificing so much just by saying that I will marry your daughter. And they are even more progressive when it comes to the point where they would have preferred anyone from their own caste, but it's okay. This guy is a good guy, even if he's from another caste, so it's okay if we marry them off. But despite all this, R has to agree, because that way we're very progressive. I think that's enough for today. I have just closed it. I think I'm on page 60 now, and I will put the rest of it in separate videos. And to say that I actually DNF'd this book, I DNF'd it at page 100 and something, 53 something, because I couldn't take the amount of misogyny, the sexism, the racism, the casteism that's in it. I just want to show you examples of how these books can be and why I have problems with these books. So I think that's it for this video. I will see you soon in another video, and until then, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.